Hey folks, this is Rod with Win by Doing, coming to you with another What Sold video. It has been slow the last couple of weeks. I'd like to attribute part of it to not necessarily listing every day. I don't tend to try to list a ton every day, but I do know that listing daily does help improve your sales. It doesn't need to be, like I said, a lot, but knowing that every time I list, a couple days in a row, I get sales coming in, that's half the battle, right? Knowing is half the battle. But anyway, through other things that I've been taken on, I haven't been necessarily listing a ton, sourcing a little bit, but anyway, it is what it is. Doing this part-time, I don't necessarily let it get me down that I'm not getting a ton of sales, even though I'd like to have a lot more if I'm ever going to grow this to the point where if I ever did happen to lose my job, I could fall back on it. Right now I cannot, but hey, you can watch those videos out there on how you can make millions of dollars selling on eBay. Just a little hint, if you don't make your millions, don't let it get you down, because it would be very difficult to make it even near that, doing this as the sole source of income. Anyway, with that said, let's move into what I have sold the last couple weeks. It's not a ton, but it's just to give you kind of an idea of the items that do sell and what you might actually be able to get out of them. First thing we are going to get into is this Irish tweed hat. It was in pretty decent condition. Due to the way it was stored, it was a little bit misshapen. It was stored flat. Here is the made in the Republic of Ireland from Irish tweed by Jonathan Richard. It was a cool looking hat. I bought it months ago, and I had listed finally down to $19.99, and I ended up taking an offer, and all said and done, shipped, it went out the door at $18.63. But I thought it was a pretty cool tweed hat with a little feather on the side. Next thing we're going to go into is this Deeper Smart Fish Finder. To be honest with you, I picked this up at the auction. I think I may have given, to be honest with you, I don't completely remember what I gave. It might have been around $15 to $20. It said it was the battery was dead. I plugged it in, let it sit for a few hours. I think when they tested it at the auction house, they didn't let it charge long enough, or they tried to pair it up to their phone without it being in water, so it wasn't registering. Because basically what this is, it's a fish finder you can attach to a line on the side of your boat or to your fishing line, toss it out there, and it Bluetooth connects up to your cell phone or tablet or whatever, and you have a portable fish finder. Anyway, in the listing on the auction, it said the battery didn't work. Did a little bit of research, and for $25 roughly, I could have sent it in and got the battery replaced. It's not something that you can automatically replace the battery yourself. I think just because of the complexity of it, where it is a waterproof unit. And but I did see that comps were running, even used comps were running around $150. Brand new, I think there are maybe 3. So I took the chance. I bought it. Like I said, I paid less than $20 for it. I went out. I plugged it in, charged it for a few hours. It was probably 3 hours. I charged it. Got a full charge on it. Put it in a sink full of water. Downloaded the app, and it works. And the way it actually works, I don't know if I have a picture of it here, where the contact points are. I don't think I have a good enough image, but there's two two little contact points on the unit itself, and that's what actually turns it on, essentially. But anyway, ended up turning around selling it for $112.50. That's probably one of the better sales I've had in the last couple of weeks. So there you go. The next item, I had a Kindle. I don't know if you saw my recent haul videos. I think I paid a buck or two on this, and simply because it was at a garage sale, indoor garage sale. It didn't have any cords or cables or anything, so she wasn't sure if it even worked. It turned on. I don't think she actually knew that it took a standard USB micro USB cable. So I brought it home, plugged it in to see if it would take a charge. It did take a charge. Came with this little case, and I went ahead and showed that it did work. And that's a screen there. And turned around. I want to double check and make sure. That one I ended up getting at full asking price. So shipped, I ended up getting $47.49, and hell of a deal. So then, those are two of the items that I probably my better sales of since my last haul or sold video. Next thing we have is these vintage equestrian 10K and sterling silver cufflinks. There was a little bit, the swivel on the one there on the right was a little, and I don't think you can actually see that, was a little bit loose, and that's actually some kind of stone, I believe. I couldn't find any comps on it. You can see there they were marked sterling. Those images are a little bit blurry, but cool set of cufflinks. Went in, imaged them with the weight there, and had them on for $40. Got full asking price. Went out first class, so I collected $43. And I think I probably had a buck or two in these as well. I was buying there for a little bit whenever I was coming across them. I was buying cufflinks in small lots, and this one probably paid for 2 or 3 of those lots. This next one, I know I keep talking about small arms, weapons manuals, catalogs, and whatnot. Here's another example. It's a small arms firing manual made in 1913. Banta's Special Edition. You can see the condition wasn't perfect there. It had some staining on the front. The binding had some staining. Here's another image of that binding, so you can kind of see how it looked. But as with all these books, make sure you take plenty of pictures so that you get it's kind of a full disclosure of what the item is and the condition it's in. Here's images of the inside. You can see where the binding was a little bit split, and it did have somebody's name written in it. And I want to take a picture. This is the only, on the inside, this was the only damage that I could find outside the binding issues. Looked like somebody at some point, those two pages stuck together, so when you pull them apart, it actually pulled a little bit of the face of the page on the left over right there above my head. You can see that. And I always include the copyright information so that they can see when it was actually copied. This was a 1918 revision, as noted on the previous page. Corrected to June 17, 1918. And what was that? And changes 1 to 21. And as you can see, maybe down here, I did fully disclose front cover title, Small Arms Firing Manual 1913 with questions and or department changes. The title reads 1913. This is a 1918 corrected, updated information, corrected to June 17th. This book is a great condition for its age. There is a name written on the inside, front and back covers. There's a page that has a corner folded toward the rear of the book, staining on hardcover, some separation binding, see images for all. So I did include everything in the, here's the other images that I was talking about. There's the page that was curled. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that behind my head there. Here's some of those binding issues I was talking about. again, and there's the person's name written on the back and on the ends there. And I guess really the only reason I'm pointing this out on these books, make sure you're doing full disclosure on quality, because you don't want to end up increasing your chances of returns. I haven't had any of these vintage firearms books returned to date, so and I've gotten good reviews on all of them. So I think part of that is attributed to the fact that I do include all damage, any flaws, and it's pretty much full disclosure. So again, $24.99. This book I picked up in a lot and maybe paid $1 or $2 for it as well. So if you've been watching my videos, you know firearms weapons are a good item to sell on eBay. And that goes to catalogs. I mean, I've got a few sitting right here, just to give you kind of an idea of what I have been selling. The blacksmith, the black powder gun weapon catalogs I haven't done as well on, but I have done well on the herders, and the other name escapes me right now. Next item we have, I've already flipped over to Sonic Unleashed for the PlayStation 3. Tested and complete. I am finally back into selling these games. I'm not a huge fan of selling video games just because there's not a lot of return in them. Most of the games you're going to find you're only going to get a couple bucks for, but I have a ton of them because I picked them up for so cheap. If you have watched previously, I'd mentioned this before. I had issues. I put a lot of them on a single listing, and I ended up with a couple returns simply because of the source I picked them up from. There were a couple of them that had some surface scratching. I thought I took my chances without testing and went ahead and listed them, and had to deal with returns on the back end. So I pretty much pulled all the games from my listings until I was able to pick up. I picked up a PS2 and a PS3 for $25. And I have an N64 over here. I still have to get controls for it. I picked up, I found another GameCube that I have set up upstairs. Funnest time, me and my daughter testing all these games out. So kudos to her for helping her old man test video games like it was a chore, right? But anyway, I started listing them again, and this particular one sold for $12.99. I did list it very good condition. It was complete, and I just took images again of front, back, and inside, showing the case, the manual, and the disc. Coming up next, another book I just mentioned before, firearms books. This one is a Herders, and it was the 1971-72 issue. And again, just showing front and back covers. I always show I try to get this, the binding side of it. This did show some creasing in the top right hand corner here, and a torn page on the inside. And this kind of just shows, a sampling of what the book entails. Has this particular page is advertising clothing, and it looks like for hunters. And I'm gonna see what other fishing lures. I really tried to, in these images, trying to attract the attention of any outdoor sportsmen, whether they be hunters, fishermen. There's some archery in there, sights, and these I really do try to fill up my use up all my images anytime I'm doing these books. I really try to. And this one went out. I want to make sure I didn't take a best offer. No, I did get full asking price. I sold this $18.99, free shipping. And as you can see, out of all the items, this is a common theme. And if you notice, you'll notice that in a couple of my past videos as well of what's sold. hunting catalogs or outdoor sportsman's related catalogs have been a reoccurring subject matter in my sales. Next item, another GameCube, well, a GameCube game. This is Soul Calibur 2. I ended up, I just want to make sure, yes, I did get full asking price. This was $15, which is very rare for me to sell games above the $10 mark. And here in the last couple of weeks, I've sold 2 of them. This one was tested. It had the case and the disc only, no manual. And just to show you how I took these images, just because it was another use, I took the rear, the disc itself, showing that there is no manual in there. And I actually tried to get a decent picture of the disc. Sometimes when there is scratching involved, I do end up I do capture that on the image itself. And so yeah, $15 free shipping out the door. Next thing we have here is one of my, I've sold quite a few of these. I picked up, I think, about 30. I think it was like 24 of these. And I mean, it's been a few months ago. They're Air Force, some Navy, Marines lithographs. This one here is the AWACS E3A flying over the mountains there. They're pretty big. I mean, they were, I think I listed the images. For some reason I thought, yeah, 23 by 17 inches. And I tried to do pictures of all the corners because it seems like that's going to have any damage that there might be. This one you can see there is a slight mark there on the right behind the tail wing. And was there anything on here? I think that was the main extent of any damage. This was just to capture all the writing on each corner of the page. I tried to also get the actual corners, but just listed great condition for its age. This one went out. These have ranged anywhere from, I think the lowest one I sold was $15 all the way up to $25, $30, and I paid about $1 a piece for them. So these lithographs, I think it goes with military. I think that subject matter does pretty well on eBay as well. Next item, I've been sitting on this for a long time, is this vintage brass lamp. I ended up giving this person a deal, you know, going back and forth. She was really, I think she does piano, teaches piano, and she was looking for something that would fit on her desk, wanting to know how well the thing extended out. I really hope it worked out for her. I know there was some damage, you can see right here, to the base. Maybe that's not the best image. Here's the image. You can see there's some damage here to the base. I didn't attempt to hammer it out or anything, so it didn't necessarily set completely flat, but it did pretty well. With minimal work, I think it'll do great for her. And it did not come with a lamp, but there's not really a ton that can go wrong with the electrical in these. Most of it's an easy fix. There was I want to say here, this I did actually straighten out something for her. If you ever come across this, I recommend screwing the nut on it. This is just a little tip. Screwing the nut on it and grab it by the pliers. The nut, not the threads itself, so you don't chew up the threads. But this is, I just want to, again, full disclosure on the entire item. And you can tell, my pictures have gotten a little bit better since then. This has, so these aren't terribly clear, but I think that they pretty well depicted what condition it was in. Now, going back to the story, she couldn't really do the full $55. I ended up selling it. It was right at $50 shipped. So I think the price actually came down to $31.50 $15 plus, and then I covered the shipping. So $50 shipped is what this actually went out for. Going back to, I sold another one of these lithographs, military lithographs. This is Kelly Field. Some vintage planes there, around the same condition. This was actually probably a little bit better condition, and it sold this one for $20, and I included shipping on these. And these are a little bit more to ship. They have to go priority just simply because of the size and not necessarily the size, but the packages that I have. I have these triangle tubes I get free from the post office, and yeah, so that is what it is. They're long. I don't know if you've seen them. They're like a triangle tube shape, and they're made for priority mail. I haven't gone out and buy my own tubes for them yet, which I probably should, but I just haven't done that yet. Next item, here's another Browning 2001 Hunting and Shooting Dealer Handbook, and you can see it wasn't in the greatest condition. There's some shelfware there. I mean, this was probably used in the field, being a dealer handbook, probably handed out, sat in somebody's office for a while. You can see some issues with right there along the corner, or the edge there where the tabs were, but it kind of shows that this one actually covered some specs in there and images, but anything firearm related I think is pretty desirable as far as eBay is concerned. Finally unloaded one of these Bibles. This one went back and forth. I had it listed for $14.99, free shipping. Someone offered me $5. This is a hardcover, large print edition. Somebody offered me $5 free with the free shipping. It was totally ridiculous. I finally ended up, after going back and forth, I dropped down to 11. They came up to $7.50. I went down to 10. They came back with 8. And I just finally, at that point, they'd come up $3 from their original offer, and I had already dropped down 4 or 5, and by then I was done. So I declined their $8 offer, and they ended up coming back to me with another offer of $9. So this one went out $9 free shipping. As slow as sales have been the last couple weeks, I just gave in and accepted it. So anyway, I know that it's not a ton, but I hope that it at least gives you some sort of idea of what does sell or what has been selling, at least for me, on eBay, and maybe you can use some of this information, or give you somewhat of an idea what to look out for when you're out there sourcing. The biggest takeaway, military media is, I believe, is a pretty sought after item, and small arms, outdoors types, catalogs, and I'm not really sure what exactly is a draw to it. I don't know if it's just the age. I don't know if there's specific specs that are in those books that are useful to weapons collectors. But anyway, those are the 2 takeaways that I would recommend. If you do see them out there in the field while you're outsourcing, I do recommend that you go ahead and pick them out, give them a try, and let me know in the comments below if you have had success in any of these items as well. Anyway, that's it for today. I will catch you later. As always, down below, hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed the content. If you didn't, thumbs down. It really doesn't matter to me. I'd like to see some positive feedback, as everyone in the world would like to. Also, if you'd like to see more content, I try to be consistent about it, but I do this part-time. I have a full-time job, help my wife run a business, and do some other things as well. So the videos unfortunately take a lower priority in what I do, but I do enjoy doing them. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and I'll try not to inundate you with too many videos, but the ones that I do put out, I hope you do enjoy. Anyway, that's it. I will catch y'all later. Peace out.